वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदिरे। अष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवयान् भगवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति मोकां करोति वाचालां पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। Reading from Srimad Bagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 3, text number 13, chapter named Liberation from the Illusory Energy. Text number 13. Vayuna hruta gandhabhu salilatvaya kalpate salilam tadruta rasam jyotishvayopa kalpate. Vayuna by the wind, hruta depraved, gandha of its quality of aroma, bhu the earth, the element earth, salilatvaya kalpate becomes water. Salila water, that by that the same element wind, hruta rasam deprived of its quality of taste. Jyotistvaya upakalpate becomes fire. Translation purport given by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Deprived of its quality of aroma by the wind, the element earth is transformed into water, and water deprived of its taste by that same wind is merged into fire. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam gives several descriptions of material creation by which air is expanded from ether, fire from air, water from fire, and earth from water. Now in the reverse order, the creation is wound up. Thus, earth emerges back into the water from which it came, and water similarly merges into fire. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru Shri Chaitanya Chaitanya Vishnu Sthapitam Yena Buddha Saran Rupakara Mahendra Savala Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter completely gives very detailed explanation about how a conditioned soul can get relieved from the clutches of Maya, that is illusory energy. As we have already discussed, the Krishna's one potency is called external energy, which is also called Maya, and it is also called separated energy. So, naturally a soul is from spiritual planet. By the bad bargaining of a soul, after experiencing in spiritual planet that everything is centered about Krishna and everything is focused on Krishna only. By seeing this and by meditating this, one develops the desire, or one laments that I should also become a boss, or it is called the controller. So one develops this stay. If one has this desire of becoming controller or Ishvara, then there is no possibility of staying back in spiritual planets. He has to glide down from the spiritual planet. So once he glide down from the spiritual planet, as the nature of the soul is Sachitananda Vigraha, it's very pure in its nature, and when it touches the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it gets contaminated. As in the Shastras, the analogy is given when the raindrop is pure until otherwise it touches the contaminated place of material nature. So when the raindrops fell, when it gets mixed with mixed with earthly planet or earth on the earthly region, then it gets contaminated and it becomes the conditioned souls, and it takes immemorable and uncountable births to climb down to the spiritual planets or to promote to the spiritual planets, or as Prabhupada says, takes a lot of time factor. It needs a lot of time factor to go back home, back to Godhead. So in this chapter, Liberation from the Illusory Energy, the Navayogendras are trying to explain to King Nimi that how this creation happens and what is the role of Mahatattva, Pradhana and all these factors. As all we know that from Krishna the immediate expansion is Balram, and Balram expands himself as the Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, and from Sankarshana Narayana comes, and from Narayana again the secondary expansion of this the four plenary expansions are created, are expanded. From them the Mahavishnu, the three Vishnus are created. That is Karnodaksha Vishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu and Chirudaksha Vishnu. And as we see in the Bagavatam that from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, from his novel, there is we can say, it is explained in Bagavatam that a lotus stem emerges from the lotus flower. Brahma is sitting on that lotus flower, and Brahma emerges from that novel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and he enters into the all planets, and Chirodaksha Vishnu resides as Paramatma in all living entities, down from Indra Gopa to Indra. See, Indra Gopa is very minute bacteria which nobody can see by their own eyes. One needs some parameters or instrument to see that particular minute bacteria. So one has to have a microscope to see that Indragopa. So it is explained in the scriptures that the Indragopa from down to the top of the planetary systems, Indra, Paramatma resides in everybody's heart. Yes. So in this This demigods and these living entities are all sent by Supreme Personality of Godhead to the material world, and as they reach this material world, which is the platform to get training how to do sacrifice or how to perform the devotion services, again to go back to the kingdom of Godhead. So its material world is nothing but a training center, like how we get training to pass in IAS exams, to pass in IPS exams, or to get medicine seat, or to become a doctor, advocate, so many professions, multi fields. We have so many professions in the material world in the academic course. Like that, they have some training centers, like how the police gets training center before going to his particular duty, he gets the training. Similarly, this material world is a training center where conditioned souls gets opportunity if he's fortunate enough to get the shelter of the representative of spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead, if he gets that association of gets the association of spiritual masters sent by Supreme Personality of Godhead in different universes. So here in this 13th verse it said that it is deprived of its quality of aroma by the wind. When the wind loses its aroma, the element earth is transformed into water. See, very beautifully it is explained in Bagavatam. When the wind deprived of its aroma, then it transforms into water. And when water, the nature of the water is, the dharma of the water is to give taste. When water deprives the taste, then the same wind is merged into fire. See how miracle it is. No scientist or no modern men can do any such process, or can invent or discover such type of process, or create such a miracle, such miracles. So Srimad Bagavatam gives several descriptions of material creation by which air is expanded from ether, and from ether from air is by material creation by which air is expanded from ether, and fire from air, water from the fire, and earth from the water. So now in the reverse order, the creation is wound up, thus earth merges back into the water from which it came, and water similarly merges into fire. 14th sloka. Hruta rupam tu tamasa vayo jyoti pralayate hruta sparsho vakshena vayu nabasi liyate kalatmana hruta gunam nava atmani liyate. Fire, deprived of its form by darkness, dissolves into the element air. When the air loses its quality of touch by the influence of space, the air merges into that space. When space is deprived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Soul in the form of time, space merges into false ego in the mode of ignorance. So all these are explained how false ego emerges. What is the process of the creation of false ego? So false ego is created when fire deprived of its form by darkness. You should listen very carefully. It's a bit um, difficult to understand if we don't pay any attention. So, fire deprived of its form by darkness, then it dissolves into the element of air. So, when fire loses its real nature of darkness by the deprived of its form by darkness, and dissolves into the element of air. When air loses its quality of touch, the influence of space, the air merges into that space. When space is deprived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Lord, soul, in the form of time, space merges into the false ego in the mode of ignorance. So, fire deprived of its form of darkness dissolves into the element of air. When the air loses its quality of touch by influence of space, the air merges into that space. When space is deprived of its tangible quality by the Supreme Soul in the form of time, space, and merges into the false ego in the mode of ignorance. Tamogana. Indriya 15th sloka number. Verse number 15. Indriyani manobuddhi saha vaikarni kairnupa pravishanti hi ahankaram swagunair aham atmani. Indriyani, the senses, manaha, mind, buddhi, intelligence. Saha vaikarikai, along with the demigods who are the products of false ego in the mode of goodness. Nupa, O king. Pravishanti, they enter, he indeed, ahankaram, the element ego, swagunai, along with its qualities. Aham, ego, atmani, into the Mahatattva. My dear king, the material senses and intelligence merge into false ego in the mode of passion. From which they arose, and the mind along with the demigods merges into false ego in the mode of goodness. Then the total false ego along with all its qualities merges into the Mahatattva. So how these Panchabhutas are merged into the particular object, then what happens to the false ego? The status of false ego is in the mode of ignorance, as we saw in the sloka 14. Now the 15th sloka, how it enters, merges into the Mahatattva. Then it is the mode of the passion and goodness is explained. The Navayogendras are explaining to the king Nimi that material senses and intelligence merge into false ego in the mode of passion. So material senses and intelligence merges into the false ego, that is the state of passion, that is our mode of passion, from which they arose. And the mind along with demigods merges into the false ego in the mode of goodness. Then the total false ego along with all its qualities merges into the Mahatattva. So what are the things the objects are merges into Mahatattva? That is been explained in 15th and 14th verse. The false ego into the Tamoguna, false ego into Rajoguna, false ego into goodness. Goodness is when the demigods merges into the false ego, the mode of goodness is explained. Verse number 16. Yesha maya bhagavataha sarga sthiti antakarini trivarna varnitasmavi varnitasmavi kim bhuyaha shrotumichhasi. I have now described Maya, the illusory energy of Supreme Personality of God, the illusory potency consisting of three modes of material nature, is empowered by the Lord for the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear? So, the sages are asking King Nimi that I have explained the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because this illusory potency consists of three modes of material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And now, what more you want to hear from me? King Nimi had expressed to the Navayogendras his fear of the illusory potency of the Lord and had requested the detailed explanation of Maya so that he could avoid becoming a victim at her hands. So after asking this question, that what more you want, after explaining about earth, water, fire, air, how it when it earth deprives its nature, and when water deprives its nature of taste. So after all these things, after explaining all these above things, then the Nimi, the sages are asking, what more you want to hear? Do you want to hear about this material creation? So King Nimi answers. King Nimi explains to the sages in a humble position that I don't want to get trapped by this material energy. So what are the ways to escape from this, from the class of these three modes of material nature, which are the powerful weapons of this material energy, Maya, that is illusory energy. So before asking this particular question, the Antariksha, the Muni, one of the Navayogendras are ready to suggest about that So Antariksha himself is suggesting that now that you have heard about Maya's influence, you should inquire about the process of becoming free of such influence. And so the Antariksha sage is saying that now you have heard about the Maya's influence, the external energy of Maya, but now that you have to be ready to be free from illusory energy, from the touches of Maya. According to Sridhar Swami, it is significance of Sri Antariksha's question, Kim Bhuya Srotum Ichasi, what more do you want to hear, wish to hear? The following is summary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation of the process of annihilation described in the previous verses. So here in this particular purport, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's explanation is mentioned. He mentions that the process of annihilation described in the previous verses. Vasudeva is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the presiding deity of consciousness, which becomes manifest within the Mahat Tattva. So Vasudeva becomes the presiding deity of consciousness, which becomes manifest within the Mahat Tattva. By further transformation of Mahat Tattva, the threefold false ego appears as follows. So by further transformation of the Mahat Tattva, the threefold false ego appeared. The first one is from Vaikharika, false ego in the mode of goodness appears. That is the 11th sense of the mind. So the false ego from Vaikharika, the false ego in the mode of goodness. Vaikharika, the false ego, from Vaikharika, the false ego, the mode of goodness emerges as the 11th sense. The mind whose presiding deity is Aniruddha. So Aniruddha is the presiding deity of mind. From Taijasa, false ego in the mode of passion, comes intelligence, whose presiding is Pradyumna, and the 5 working senses, and 5 knowledgeable acquiring senses with their various presiding deities. So from Taijasa, false ego in the mode of passion, comes intelligence, whose presiding deity is Pradyumna. So for every particular sense or for sense organs, there is a particular presiding deity is there, and the 5 working senses and 5 knowledgeable occurring senses with their various presiding deities. From the false ego in the mode of ignorance arises a subtle form of sound, and from that sound or shabda all the material elements gradually becomes manifest, beginning with ether and sense hearing. So the presiding deity of these 3 divisions of false ego is Sankarshana. This description is taken from the chapter 26 of the 3rd canto of Srimad Bagavatam, verses 21, 27, 28, 30, 31, 32 and 35. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead's external potency, Maya, causes the birth, maintenance and destruction of the material world. She is a tricolored red, white and black. In a red feature, the material nature is created. In white, it endures, and in black, it is annihilated. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead external potency, the Maya, the Durga Devi, causes the birth, maintenance and annihilation of the material world. She is tricolored, red, white and black. Red is creation, white is enduring, maintenance, and the black is annihilation. The Mahat Tattva arises from this Maya, and from the Mahat Tattva comes the 3 varieties of false ego mentioned above. So Maya creates this material world, and she creates, maintains and annihilates. She is the cause for this. She is the cause for this creation. And she is also tricolored, the white, red and black. White is and the red, white and black. Red feature is the creation, and the white is enduring, and the black is annihilated. And the Mahat Tattva arises from this Maya. From the Mahat Tattva comes the 3 false ego, which we have discussed previously. At the time of annihilation, 5 great elements, namely earth, water, fire, air, ether, merges into false ego in the mode of ignorance from which they were originally generated. The 10 senses and intelligence merges into false ego in passion, and the mind, along with the demigods, merges into the false ego in the mode of goodness, which then merges into Mahat Tattva, which further takes the shelter of the Prakriti or unmanifest Pradhana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama.